I'm bigcal and welcome to my world. Today I want to talk about one of my absolute favourite games on the Nintendo Wii, Excite Truck. Co-developed by Monster Games and Nintendo, Excite Truck was a launch title for the Nintendo Wii in North America. However, here in Europe it came out 4 months later in February. And I never even knew it was out. It passed me by completely. And boy, was that a mistake. Now, despite being called Excite Truck, I didn't even realise it was part of the Excite Bike series because, well, the Excite Bike games I know were called Excite Bike. We had the one on the NES, Excite Bike 64 and N64, and then Excite Truck came along and I never thought anything of it. But yes, it is part of the Excite series. It's the third game in the main series. Only this time, the big difference is it features trucks instead of bikes. And there are also some big gameplay changes too. So, let's get started talking about this game and why I love it so much. So obviously, one of the biggest differences in this new instalment into the Excite series is the change from bikes to trucks. But the other big one comes in the form of gameplay. No longer are levels made up of boring tracks inside a stadium, but instead are set in the real world, though not an accurate one, differing in length and offering multiple paths along the way. Jumps are still a big part of the game, but not for just adding excitement to races. Instead, they are one of the key ways in which to earn stars, which will determine your overall grade at the end of a race. Each race will have you trying to achieve a set amount of stars for a passing grade, but the more stars you obtain, the better your grade becomes. Earning stars can be done in a variety of ways, from the amount of time you spend in the air after a jump, how long you can drift for, how devastating a crash is, how many rings you can go through, and how long you can pass through a section of trees without hitting any. The maximum number of stars you can gain from this is 5, but of course you have multiple chances at all of these in each lap of the race, and the more stars you can get from a single task depends on what place you finish in. A first place will earn you 50 stars, which is what you should always aim for. However, a first place isn't always needed depending on how many stars you can earn during the race, making this racer a little different from most others. On the surface, each race doesn't have all the opportunities for stars from the get-go. Instead, exclamation icons will appear on the track and driving through them can alter the terrain in small or large ways. Sometimes it will simply make rings appear at the next jump, and sometimes it will change the entire landscape, making a much bigger jump, or even removing one and letting a lake flow through, which is the perfect chance for using your boost. The boost is similar to the original Excite Bike games, where you can gain a boost for a short amount of time, but you must be careful not to use it for too long or you will overheat and burn out. However, entering water will instantly cool you down and allow you to use a boost for as long as you wish until you leave the water. Extremely useful if you are falling behind. The boost can also aid you in your jumps, as pressing it just before you launch from a ramp will give you a turbo boost, allowing for more time in the air. Making a perfect landing will also give you a boost. You'll need to master all of these techniques, especially later on in the game when it becomes harder and harder to gain enough stars to progress. Oh, and another icon you can drive through is a boost icon, which will give you a temporary boost which you cannot stop. But this does often show up during a tree run spot, where if you can keep your truck straight, you'll pass through a number of trees and get 5 stars with ease, sometimes even multiple sets of 5 stars depending on the length of the run. All of this boosting and jumping and drifting and crashing makes this one of the most pure fun racing games I've personally ever played. So, want to know something that might shock you about Excite Truck? It uses the motion controls. Take the Wii remote, turn it on its side, and this is your steering wheel. You have a button for accelerate, a button for the boost, and steering is just left and right with the controller. No awkward controls like holding the Wii remote in one hand and the nunchuck in the other and going about flailing your arms. Instead, it's just very simple, very subtle, moving to the left and moving to the right to turn your vehicle. It all feels great, and the fact that this is a very early Wii game, a launch title for the US, 4 months later in the UK. The fact that they got the motion controls pretty much perfect is quite amazing, really. There's so many games over the years in the Wii's lifespan just failed miserably with motion controls. I think the reason it did so well here is that, well, it was partially developed by Nintendo for starters, and they don't go overboard. Like I said, it's just simple. Left and right turning. That's it. You don't have to do different button combinations. You're not flailing about like this. You haven't got the nunchuck. It's just on its side, steering. Simple, great and effective. As you progress through the game, unlocking more difficult races, you can also unlock new trucks, each with different looks and, more importantly, stats. These stats are speed, turbo, air and grip. You might think that once you unlock a new truck with better stats, you'll never need the old one. However, because the trucks will only tend to increase the stats in one particular area, you'll find yourself going back and forth between different trucks depending on the course, as a truck with better grip might help you on a track with lots of tight corners, while another course might have jumps all over the place and a truck with high air stats would be more suited. I like this as it keeps all the trucks relevant as you progress, rather than making each truck redundant the moment you unlock a new one. There isn't much customization here though, with only colour changes being available, and then if you meet certain requirements, say winning 3 races with an S grade using one truck, you can unlock a new paint job, which is pretty much just a new pattern for the truck. Nothing special, but honestly I did find myself using a different colour each time I played, just because it was there. The game modes included in Excite Truck are as follows. Excite Race, which is your standard racing mode. Go through each course and achieve a minimum passing grade, which I believe is C. Super Excite Race is a harder difficulty version of Excite Race and can only be unlocked by achieving an S rank on every race in Excite Race. Luckily, this isn't that difficult as even I was able to unlock it. Mirror Race mode is exactly what it sounds like, the normal race mode but mirrored. This can be unlocked with an S rank on every race in Super Excite Race, which is something I haven't done yet. Challenge mode features challenges, shockingly. You'll have to complete tasks such as going through rings or hitting as many 5-star crashes as possible within the time limit. Personally, I stayed away from this mode as I found it more fun to do these things in actual races. Super Challenge mode is just the hard mode for challenge mode. And lastly we have Versus mode, which is the multiplayer. Now, this does seem like it would be a super fun mode, but alas, there is only me to play it. So with nobody else, I just, stuck to the normal race mode because I have no friends. So despite not having any friends to play with, I tend to stick to single player mode, but still, after all these years, I've yet to grow even remotely bored of any of it. It's just pure fun, fast-paced arcade action at its best, with the cool terrain changing abilities, all the unique ways of collecting stars, and the fact that a first place isn't the end of the world. You can still win without gaining first place. That makes it so very different from other normal racing games. Visually, for a very early Wii game, I think it looks quite good, and the soundtrack fits the races perfectly. A sequel to this game was released on the Wii called Excitebots. However, it was never released here in Europe. It was released in Japan, which I believe was an exclusive for the online Nintendo rewards, so not many people got it there, and it was only released in the US. That being said, I do have a sealed freeloader upstairs on my shelf, which is used to play import games on the Wii, and it is sitting there waiting to be opened when the day comes that I finally get my hands on it. But aside from that, there was a report a few months ago online that Nintendo have re-copyrighted the term Excite Truck. So that could mean we're going to get maybe a new game on the Nintendo Switch, which would be awesome. HD visuals and online multiplayer maybe. Or at the very least we might just be getting a virtual console release for it on the Wii U or the Switch or both. Either way, I think that would be cool just because it'll get people back into the series, knowing what it is again, and then hopefully, if it's popular enough, getting a sequel, down the line. So yeah, Excite Truck, Nintendo Wii, still to this day one of my favourite Wii games, and the one that I play the most outside of the Super Mario Galaxy series. For the time it came out and on the system it was released on, I think the visuals are fine, the soundtrack is great, the ability to use your own is fantastic, and I just never get bored of single player at all. I give this game a 90 out of 100. Excellent replayability as well, and the only thing that would have bumped it up to an even higher score for me is online gaming. If this had online racing, just like Mario Kart Wii, I don't think many people would have really cared about Mario Kart Wii, because I think this would have been a much more fun experience online. But that is just my opinion, and I do love this game more than most, so I'm perhaps slightly biased. Anyway, that's all from me. I'm Big Cal. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.